Today I'm going to chat about a fallacy, an error in thinking and in communication. This is something that I catch myself doing every so often. I'm not even going to mention the name of the fallacy. Maybe somebody will want to post it down below. There are actually several that kind of tie into this. But focus is going to be on kind of the whole area around which this is done, all the different ways that this can come about. So one of the most common things is let's take a historic dead figure like Abraham Lincoln or Mother Teresa or Gandhi or the Stoics or something like that, and perhaps I'll say, well, Thomas Jefferson said that it's not bad for your health to eat an apple every day, and then a common retort would be, oh, so you like people who own slaves and hold women as sexual slaves? Because that's what he did to his mistress, and it was blown all apart, and the whistleblower put it in the news. That's fallacious thinking. Now, if I had said Thomas Jefferson was a perfect human being, that would be a different thing. If I had said that he was a perfect human being, then yes, that would be, hey, provide evidence to the contrary. But I didn't say that. I just said, hey, this one dude once said that eating apples is probably not bad for you. And yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea. That sounds correct. And to attack him then and his character, that's not really relevant. Mother Teresa is widely thought of as being an awesome person, and other people are thought of as being horrible. It doesn't really matter if it's Mother Teresa or Hitler. Mother Teresa said some and did some bad things, and Hitler did some and said some really good things. And so when one says, oh, I like the Stoic philosophy, one isn't necessarily saying, I agree with everything every Stoic ever said. Well, no, that's ludicrous. It's simply saying, hey, there's a lot that I drew from that. Now, if there is a belief system or a person or a cult leader or whatever, and you're required to believe everything, and you say you believe in, I don't know if the Abrahamic religions are like this, but let's say a Christian. If part of being a Christian is believing everything that the Bible said and not just going kind of like the Church of Latter-day Saints in the last 50 or 75 years, has kind of just been going along with whatever the winds blow. Oh, okay, well, now it's okay for this thing, which for years we've said was wrong. And, well, what we really meant was, no, like that doesn't work. If you say you're a Christian, then clarify for me, please. Or if you say you're a Republican or a Democrat or a Muslim or a whomever, or that you are a ardent follower of Hitler, well, explain to me what you mean by that. Hitler believed in trying his hand at art, and I understand he liked dogs. Well, if you mean that you like dogs and you enjoy trying your hand at art, then, oh, okay, that's different. Automatically what pops to my mind is the bad stuff that he did, which was really, really bad. And that's what he's famous for. He's not famous for his art or for loving puppy dogs. It was for being a really nasty pro-government guy. So we can't just attack the human being or the concept and say, well, this is part of the conversation. If you say that, well, the Christians say to turn the other cheek, well, let's just take that for what it is. The lesson is, hey, sometimes it's not worth the fight. Sometimes it's better to turn the cheek. And maybe you heard that from a different, was it Johnny Cash who sang the song, And That Makes Me the Winner, and his old beat up guy who would always fight. Well, those are just two different folks. Well, not Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash was a fake. He didn't really do time in prison, but he acted like it. No, I'm simply drawing the same lesson from the Bible and from Johnny Cash. Yeah, sometimes you ought to turn the other cheek. Hey, it's not always worth it to get into a fight over something. I'll bet you the Stoics said something like that, and I'll bet you the Hindu gods, one of them said something like that. It's just kind of, it's a thing, and take it for what it's worth. Take the good, leave the bad. One of the things that's making me think of this is I'm currently listening to the book on Audible by Ryan Holiday, Right Thing, Right Now. And boy, oh boy, do I ever agree with that book title. That is brilliant. It's wonderful. But I'm getting into the parts of the book where Ryan is very much pro-government. Of course, he wants his kind, which is the good kind. The kind he wants is the correct size and shape and personnel choices. Um, so he's a pro-state guy. We disagree there. He believes in collectivism. We disagree there. He believes in United Nations sustainability stuff. We disagree there. So we have these big areas of disagreement, and yet he says some things that are pretty good. And I'm really having to remind myself, okay, when he says something stupid, my job isn't to say, well, forget this guy, he's horrible, I'm never listening to him again or reading his books. Well, no. Take the good, leave the bad. It's really okay to do that. You don't have to go whole hog for everything anybody says. Another area this is used, and you'll probably recognize this, is by saying that Republicans are racist or Democrats are racist, whichever one you want to say. And then the response is, well, no, here is a particular Republican or Democrat who is even more racist than the side that you were claiming that to be on. No, that's not good thinking. That's picking a person and blaming everything on that person, or basing a whole way of thinking on one aspect of one person's life. And that's just not a straight way to think. It does not work. Another example of where this came up recently is I was having a dialogue back and forth, and my conversation partner is an ardent supporter of Zionism and very much toes that line and puts it above his personal beliefs and his otherwise well thought out ideas in life. And it's very frustrating to me to have somebody be very pro-war in a certain circumstance and kind of set aside good, solid, moral thinking. But then I've got to think of all the great stuff that this conversation partner had done in the previous years and continues to do in other arenas. He has a blind spot, he has a strong bias, but I can't throw out everything he's ever said or say that I hate him because of him being wrong on one really big important stance or on 10 stances. There are some people who completely have a horrible outlook on life, are complete idiots, or have never really thought about stuff. They've just felt it. They regurgitate what they see on the entertainment shows, the news stuff, and they don't have an original thought ever. But then all of a sudden one day they repeat something that makes a lot of good sense. Great. Repost that. That's wonderful. You're not saying you're buying into the whole person. Another example is a guy who back in 2007, 8, something like that, I was listening to a lot of his podcasts. He had several great books. And at that point, he was an anarcho-capitalist. He was a voluntarist. And he was putting out some content that, his style wasn't good. He's a narcissist and certainly had his psychological personality issues. But he was entertaining to listen to, he had a cool accent, and I really enjoyed his content. And he remained a voluntarist anarcho-capitalist until the mid-2000 teens, and then he switched over to more of an alt-right, less consistent stance. Still had a lot of stuff right, but just kind of lost that, that true flag bearer part of himself. He used to just be, you turn to this guy, he's the true North Star. You can take what he says to the bank. Then he changed, and now for the last 10 years or whatever, it's not been that way anymore. It's been, more of just a Republican mixed with a libertarian kind of content. So I don't listen to him anymore. But that doesn't mean that his other previous work wasn't incredible. His one book, Everyday Anarchy, excellent book. One of the best primers. Give to the person who's a little bit interested. That's a great book. And so I can't throw out his great work because of that. Someone recently had a reply to a video I did and brought up the idea of free will. And I realized that I have not paid close enough attention to free will. And so now I'm going to be looking into that a little bit more, see if I can wrap my head around it. And, maybe it's a simple thing. Maybe it's like epistemology, that I was so scared of the word for a long time I stayed away. And then I finally realized, this is no special big deal. This just makes sense. It's just how we look at things. Maybe it'll be the same with looking at free will. But as I look into it, I want to be very careful not to make the mistakes that many people I see responding on my channel or the other channels I follow on YouTube. Many of the comments are fallacious, and I don't want to engage in those conversations. It's not productive, and it becomes a against the person kind of thing rather than against one portion of that person's idea. And that's just not productive if we want to get ahead in our thinking.
We hope this helps. If you feel the vibe, we invite you to join our tribe. Please subscribe.